Hey, welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel, you rascals. Hope you guys are doing well there. Looking forward to getting back at the radio show tomorrow, and you guys can watch, listen, consume Tobin and Leroy every single weekday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can do that on the QAM YouTube channel for all our viewers out there, and we'll be back at it, back and running into the fold. Lots to discuss. Lots to discuss when we get in there. Of course, we'll have a recap later on this Sunday for Heat and Lakers, so we'll get to that. But I want to get into, of course, as I was, enjoying my Saturday yesterday, kind of took a day to enjoy the fam, so a little relaxation. But I did see somebody in Memphis was making a stink. John Morant is having himself a difficult time, it seems like, with his franchise, the Memphis Grizzlies. They have suspended him for a game for conduct detrimental to the team. I believe he is sitting tonight against the Toronto Raptors. If you guys missed what had happened, he was loafing it a little bit, being a loaf and a mope. During their loss to the Lakers, he got called out by Blake Griffin and Udonis Haslem very much on the Amazon broadcast for kind of standing around, being not in the greatest of moods when he was in the huddle was going on. And then reportedly, the Memphis head coach, the dude from Finland, whose name I'm not going to try to pronounce, but he called out John Morant. And John Morant didn't exactly give what they thought was an acceptable answer in the most appropriate means, and that led to the suspension. He was asking, when he was talking to the media back and forth, he was like, you got to go ask the coaching staff. They apparently think me not playing is the best solution. Dicey. Very dicey. Now, there has been in the past a John Morant to the Miami Heat smoke. But we have ourselves a little bit of a different conundrum here, ladies and gentlemen. As you will notice, no whale, no harpoon for your boy Tobes here. And it's not because I'm being more mature, but it does apparently. Now, all I did yesterday was I tweeted out while I was, amongst my day. I just tweeted out some googly eyes emoji as I saw the suspension. And oh my God, the reaction, the backlash that I got from you jackals was no, not heat culture. Don't want them. Don't even think about it. Not going to happen. Some people who are more informed also said that there's a backstory here as to why it may not work out with Miami, which I'll hear out. Now, I have in the past definitely had some gaga eyes over getting John Morant in a Heat jersey. I mean, dude, dunks upon dunks. But obviously, not the most mature dude in the world with his suspensions in the past. He's really, I mean, what would you say about, I mean, just an incredible explosive talent. Obviously, when guys are that big and they throw their necks at the rim, you're a little worried about how that ages. He's just turned 26 this summer. And really seems to be like, I mean, would you say John Morant's probably like the most rebelling player in the league? Like, he has no time for discipline. He has no time for what the league tells him. The league tells him no guns. He comes out with the grenade. And by the way, it's a cooler celebration. This has been, which I thought the gun, like, all right, dude, I understand that a guy who's been suspended over guns shouldn't be doing pew, 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 pew. But, like, let's grow up. They're not real guns. I hope everybody knows this. Pew, pew doesn't equal actual guns. And people have been doing, they've been doing that stuff after shooting threes, three guns, whatever. He comes up with the grenade, way even cooler. I think actually the game that he got in trouble, wasn't it the Heat game? The one where he called Kalel a pigeon? Now the Heat got their revenge. But here's the real issue. So for those who didn't know, last year, one of the big issues was that the Memphis Grizzlies changed their offense a little bit. A little parallel to what the Heat were doing with Jimmy Butler. Not the same offense, but like Miami Heat trying to change their offense a little bit because they had a player in their eyes a little unreliable of being available during the year. So they're trying to find something, but their player had no buy-in to it. Jimmy Butler's like, nope, I want the ball. And then boom, sabotage. Ja Morant had a lot of suspensions, had a lot of injuries. I think the Memphis Grizzlies looking for some type of means. And so Taylor Jenkins, who had a lot of success as the Grizzlies head coach, comes in there. They try and do this free-flowing motion offense that has been so well explained. You guys should go check out the prime clips with Bam and Norman Powell. But this offense, which has been put in by Eric Spoelstra, was very similar to what they were doing in Memphis last year until one person got really, really sick of it, and that person is Ja Morant. Ja Morant did not like this offense, had no time for this offense, and did not buy into this offense. So the Miami Heat, it was revealed by parties that they have brought in this Noah LaRoche, who is like this guru of this free-flowing offense. He's a consultant. He's not actually on the coaching staff, but he is on the road with the team. And he was in Memphis the year beforehand. The Heat, I guess, once this whole Taylor Jenkins thing's went by the wayside and they gave the keys to this Finnish coach, that they were like, all right, he's like, who's looking at what that's going on right now and likes what the Heat are doing. And this is an offense that, swing the ball around, don't necessarily need that pure point guard all of the time. And, that's kind of where the Heat are at. They don't really have a pure point guard, although Davion Mitchell's been doing a really, really good job. And it seems like the Heat really dig this offense, and it doesn't feel like they're going to have the drama that the Grizzlies have had with Ja Morant. But if you have so much success with this, let's say Ja Morant were to become available, would the Miami Heat dive into this? Now, like, let's not mince words here. The dude is still an incredible talent. I mean, a star talent for what he's done for those Grizzlies team. Now, the star power has maybe dipped since he burst onto the scene in the league, where he's telling everybody, there's nobody in the West that I'm worried about. It hasn't exactly gone the smoothest in the world, but we know the guy is absolute, pardon the pun, but dynamite on the floor when it comes to his talent and his ability. But for the people who are wondering about culture and the fit, I can understand why a lot of those things people would buck against. Now, I do think that if you have a culture, you're supposed to be able to harbor in talents and be able to, be able to use that and get that person to their fullest of their abilities. And maybe he's just kind of outgrown. Like, maybe he's sick of Memphis. He's done with Memphis. He feels like he's outgrown Memphis. Maybe he feels like his star is stunted in Memphis. I don't know. And if you go to a place that's a little bit more stable, that really won't put up with that bull bleep, could it work better in Miami if he were to buy in the offense here? I don't know. But I do think it's a fair question. Here's what I would say. If Ja Morant were to become available from the Memphis Grizzlies, I don't think the Miami Heat look at Ja Morant. I could be wrong, but I don't think the Miami Heat look at Ja Morant as a push all your chips to the table type of guy. Like, they're not going to try and utilize multiple. If they could get him on the cheap skis and it's just done in Memphis, okay, then you always gotta go value. Like, if you can roll into a surefire value deal for him, that's fine. But the Heat do have questions still to answer with even this offense and how great it's looked over, this 5-game sample size that we have to start the season. Going to be going on this road trip. For one, the Heat kind of owe it to themselves to see, hey, what does Tyler Hero being added to this offense mean? Does it work? Is it better? Is it worse? Do we know? Because what if Tyler comes in here and it makes a great offense even better? What if you're adding another dead-eye shooter who's going to flow the thing around and it just works better? What if it doesn't? And then you do have to probably ask yourself, all right, but I do think the Heat need to know the answer to that question before they go, snooping around the Ja Morant thing. Unless it's just like, oh man, we could get this guy on the cheap skis. Let's go make a move. And I don't know if Memphis is there yet, right? Like, he is the face of their franchise. It's not a place that gets star players. Um, and I'm sure that they would want to lean in. You know, they love Jaren Jackson and everything he brings to the table, but he ain't John Morant. And so there's an interesting conundrum that happens there with this. As far as the culture stuff and him being a pain in the ass, people were comparing this to the Jimmy Butler situation. I don't find those to be the same. I honestly think, first of all, I think Jimmy is a better player than John Morant overall. Ja's obviously younger, but Jimmy's issue was a one-fold issue, was money. John Morant genuinely seems like he's got some, like, Jimmy was a pain in the ass. Okay, whatever. Didn't love doing media, prickly guy, moody, whatever. But his biggest issue with not playing to the fullest with the Miami Heat was money. When he was hurt, he was banged up, you know, and he's a guy who gets banged up. And that's a guy who's much bigger than John Morant. But, you know, the whole quitting on the teams is like, that didn't happen until there was big money issues. Still unprofessional. I'm not excusing it, but I don't compare it to Ja, who's had, like, you know, real maturity issues and really seems to have an FU mentality to anybody who tries to correct these maturity issues. Like, he has no time for it. And I do think there are fair questions of where the Heat are right now. If you're not getting a guy who tilts the scales in your favor to winning a title, which maybe some argue that you bring him onto this team and you don't have to give up a whole heap of a lot, you make the move because, hey, maybe there's a bigger bite at the apple right now than thought, you know, like Orlando. Everybody who looked at this Eastern Conference and they're like, who are the powers? It's not like, and again, we're 5, 6, some 7 games in. But you look right now and you got a Sixers team that is young guards and Joel Embiid, maybe the Bucks, who have all drama tilting. Detroit, not surprised that they're off to a good start. And then Chicago, who's a young, but like Boston has not been smooth. The Knicks, it hasn't been smooth. The Pacers look like it's going to be a tumultuous start to the season, at least early on. The Hawks just lost Trey for what seems like at least a month. So there could be an argument of, like, if you could get a win now move that would vault you up, if it doesn't cost the farm, I could understand that. But it's a bit of a problem. Like, if everybody here loves the way this is cooking, right? And this isn't like Memphis, because in Memphis, Ja, your best guy, bucked against it. Here, your best guy, Bam Adebayo, loves it. And Bam, you know, we're seeing, like, he loves the attempts. He loves what he gets to bring to the table for this roster. He loves moving the ball. And this is also him averaging 23 points. This is him in a situation where, you know, there's been a couple games now they haven't even had Norm. So I don't know, man. I think that this may be one of those whales that, as much as it pains me, I don't know if the Heat, unless there is just a deal, a Norm Powell-esque too good to be true, that they'll dive into this. I don't think so. And, you know, people mentioned the culture fit, the drama fit. You know, he sees himself as a face of the franchise guy, and the Heat right now, I think they want to lean into Bam being their face of the franchise guy. And then Norm, you know, he's there with Bam. I mean, Norm is just, he said this himself, that he's so little drama. You couldn't drum up a better player for the Heat that's so perfectly Heat to just be great on offense, work his ass off, fit in with everybody, but also we're going to kind of lean into you being the guy, which you want to do. I don't know. As people have said, the vibes are high right now. I don't know if this is a franchise in the place and I know this sounds crazy coming from me, because, you know, old Tobes, I love a good sharpening of the harpoon. But unless this is like a swap shop, Five Below, Dollar Tree type bargain that the Heat could get, I kind of think you got to leave this one alone. I don't know if this one makes a lot of sense for the Miami Heat, the way things seem to be flowing this early on in the year. I may look stupid. Maybe they get smoked by Luka Doncic tonight, and I'm going to come back here and we could reevaluate things. But I don't know. You get the guy who had the Grizzlies humming, and the guy who is the face of that hated it so much that the coach ended up getting fired. Now, Taylor Jenkins ain't Spo. Spo certainly had his realm of handling egos, but I don't know, there's too many things. There's too many ingredients in the beaker right now to know what, like, throwing another one in there, if you're going to get an explosion or the perfect chemistry. I'm not really sure. This one makes a whole lot of a whole lot of sense, but you know, will the Heat snoop around? Because I will say this: I bet you if he does end up asking out, I bet you that the Heat are going to be on that list, and that they're going to be one of those teams that he's going to be like that he's going to kind of bat his eyes at to try and get him. Because everyone's going to look at Miami and say, I think the layman's going to look around and say, hey, Miami's get him a star. All right. Like, and the Heat, I don't think like Hero's going to get that respect. You already got people like, saying, oh, Heat are always better when Tyler's gone. Austin Reeves is better than Tyler here. You're already hearing that. And I think the Heat kind of owe it to themselves, see what Tyler Hero will mean for this team, And then they could have said, like, look, if it comes back and Tyler's no good, this doesn't work with him, okay, then maybe you do need to go find some more scoring punch, or you do need to go find what the next move is. But don't they owe it to themselves at least to give a little looky-loo at to what this offense will do with Boy Wonder? Kind of think so. But I get it. I understand. I'm guilty of it. I thought about it. But upon the other elements of this story, can understand why this one might not be the exact right fit if a certain Memphis whale becomes available.